A man disappears in broad daylight and reappears 5 days later, dead, placed neatly atop a coal heap with no footprints, no struggle, no sign of life or death in between. His wounds, unexplainable. His face, frozen in pure terror, and the gel found on his burns, unknown to science, even today. Was Zigmund Adamski murdered by human hands, hidden behind power and secrecy? Or was he taken by something not of this world? This is the Zigmund Adamski Enigma, and what we're about to uncover may change how you see true crime forever.
Welcome to Crime Bite.
In this channel, we peel back the layers of those hidden realities, raw evidence, conflicting testimonies, and emotional pleas for help that too often come too late. By looking into these crime bites, you'll see firsthand how broken trust, systemic oversights, and chilling motives can converge into stories that rattle us to the core. If you find this exploration as vital as we do, be sure to like this video, subscribe, and click the notifications button. Together, we can shine a light on the cases that demand attention, ensuring every voice, especially the silenced, finds the audience it deserves. On the afternoon of Friday, June 6, 1980, 56-year-old Zigmund Adamski left his home in Tingley, West Yorkshire, on what should have been a brief, uneventful errand. A retired coal miner and devout Catholic, Adamski was known in his neighborhood as a quiet, well-liked man. He had been caring for his sick wife, Lottie, who had recently undergone back surgery. That day, he told her he would be gone just a short while. He needed to pick up some groceries and post a letter. He left wearing a suit, no overcoat, and carried no bag. He never came back. By nightfall, worry had turned to panic. Zigmund had no history of wandering off. He wasn't depressed, and there were no known threats or disputes in his life. Local police were alerted. Friends and neighbors were questioned. They all said the same thing. Zigmund was stable, responsible, and loved by his community. His disappearance puzzled investigators from the start. The weather was mild. There were no reported accidents. He had vanished completely. No phone calls, no sightings, no ransom notes, just silence. For 5 days, the search intensified. Police canvassed the area, posters went up in shops. Local TV stations ran his photo, but there were no leads, no trace. It was as if Zigmund Adamski had been plucked from the very air. And then on the 5th day, he came back. But not in the way anyone hoped. How does a man disappear in broad daylight, in a populated town, with no witnesses and no trace? What could have happened in those first few minutes after he left his front gate? It was the afternoon of Wednesday, June 11th, 1980. 5 days since Zigmund Adamski had vanished, when 2 railway workers made a shocking discovery in the Todmorden coal yard, nearly 20 miles from where Zigmund was last seen. As they prepared to load coal from one of the storage piles, something caught their eye at the top of a 10-foot-high heap. The corpse lay oddly composed. Zigmund Adamski, now clearly deceased, was fully clothed in a suit, but not the one he had left home in. His shirt was misbuttoned, his trousers wrinkled and slightly too tight, and his shoes loosely tied. His arms were bent unnaturally at his sides. His face was frozen in a contorted expression of fear, with his eyes wide and mouth slightly agape. But what unsettled investigators most wasn't the body itself. It was the coal. The surface of the coal pile was completely undisturbed. There were no footprints, no marks, no sign that anyone had climbed it to place the body there. In fact, Zigmund's clothes were remarkably clean for a man who appeared to have been dragged or carried onto a massive pile of dirty fuel. It was as if someone had lowered him from the sky. Detectives from West Yorkshire Police arrived within the hour. Among them was PC Alan Godfrey, a respected local officer known for being meticulous and honest. He had been called out to assist with what was initially logged as a sudden death. But what he encountered was anything but ordinary. Zigmund's wristwatch had stopped at precisely 11:15 a.m. His wallet and other belongings were missing. But more bizarre were the burn marks on the back of his neck and shoulders, oval-shaped, red, fresh, and clearly not caused by coal or environmental exposure. Even more confounding, the wounds had been treated with a strange, clear, gel-like substance. Neither PC Godfrey nor the coroner had seen anything like it before. Adamski had been missing for 5 days, but his body showed signs of being dead for only a few hours. Where had he been, and who or what had taken care of his injuries? If Zigmund didn't die in the coal yard, where had he been for 5 days? And who knew how to treat him? then return him like a discarded object. The man tasked with unraveling the medical mystery was Dr. Alan Edwards, an experienced and highly regarded coroner. On the afternoon of June 12, 1980, Edwards began his examination of Zigmund Adamski's body and immediately sensed that something was deeply wrong. According to Edwards, the time of death was likely sometime between 11 a.m. and 1 p.m. on June 11th, just hours before his body was discovered. This meant Zigmund had been alive for nearly the entire 5 days since his disappearance. Yet his physical condition raised 1,000 red flags. His stomach was empty, suggesting little to no food intake in days. There was no water in his system. Despite this, his skin appeared clean, and there were no bruises, scratches, or abrasions typical of someone held captive in harsh conditions. Even his nails were clean, his hands uncalloused, as though he had spent his final days in a sterile environment. But it was the burns on his neck and shoulders that deeply disturbed Dr. Edwards. The lesions were symmetrical, smooth-edged, almost clinical. They were described as circular burns of unknown origin. But what confounded Edwards even more was the gel applied to the wounds. Clear, odorless, and viscous, the substance did not match any known medical ointments used by local hospitals, GPs, or paramedics. Edwards admitted in a later interview, "It was as if someone, something, had tried to care for him in a way we don't understand." More than once, he told colleagues that Adamski's case was the strangest death he'd ever investigated. Privately, Edwards even expressed fears that the answers lay beyond what we can explain. Despite the irregularities, the official cause of death was recorded as heart failure, brought on by extreme stress. But that conclusion solved nothing. If Adamski had been kidnapped, why wasn't he beaten, starved, or restrained? If he had been cared for, why had he been returned dead, placed ceremoniously atop a coal pile? And what was he so afraid of that his heart gave out? Dr. Edwards later confided to reporters off the record, "Whatever scared him to death wasn't from this world." If a seasoned coroner with decades of experience couldn't explain the wounds, the gel, or the state of Zigmund's body, can any earthly theory truly hold up? Don't forget to like, share, and click notifications bell for more. On November 28, 1980, just 5 months after Zigmund Adamski's body was found, the case took an unexpected and surreal turn. PC Alan Godfrey, the officer who had responded to the coal yard death scene, was patrolling near Todmorden. He had been investigating reports of loose cattle on Burnley Road when something strange caught his eye. Up ahead was what he thought was a lorry, large, silent, blocking the road. But as he approached, the object revealed itself to be nothing like any vehicle he'd ever seen. It was diamond-shaped, hovering just a few feet above the ground, spinning slowly, with a line of rotating lights around its base. Godfrey slammed on the brakes. He tried to radio it in, but his system was dead. As he reached for his notebook to sketch the object, everything went blank. He woke up 15 minutes later, still in his car, now farther down the road. The strange object was gone. His boots were soaked with dew, though he claimed the road had been dry moments earlier. His watch had stopped. His memory was foggy. Shaken, Godfrey filed a report. He was ridiculed by some, cautioned by others, but what happened next deepened the mystery. Under hypnosis, he recounted a chilling experience. Being taken into a brightly lit room, he described humanoid beings, accompanied by a smaller mechanical-looking entity. He claimed he was examined, probed with light, and shown disturbing images on a screen. Though controversial, Godfrey's story mirrored themes from dozens of other alleged alien abduction cases, including disorientation, lost time, and vivid but fragmented recall. Most chilling of all? He later confessed that the only other time he'd felt that same electric pressure in the air was the day he found Zigmund Adamski's body. Was PC Godfrey's encounter a coincidental hallucination, or was it the missing puzzle piece to Adamski's bizarre death? After PC Alan Godfrey's reported encounter with a flying object, he wasn't alone. In the months before and after Zigmund Adamski's disappearance, dozens of eyewitness reports surfaced across Yorkshire of strange lights, low-flying discs, and unusual electromagnetic disturbances. Farmers in Todmorden reported hearing a high-pitched humming in the early hours. Motorists along Burnley Road said their headlights dimmed suddenly. At least 3 residents described a silver sphere hovering above the moors. Local journalist John Sheard, who covered the Adamski story from the start, wrote, Something strange is happening in Yorkshire, and it's more than just weather balloons. Most of these accounts were quietly dismissed by law enforcement as hysteria or attention-seeking. But UFO researchers saw a pattern, a cluster of sightings surrounding one man's unexplained death. To add to the intrigue, the Ministry of Defense was said to have opened a confidential file on both the Adamski case and Godfrey's encounter, later archived under the UK's Unexplained Aerial Phenomena Division, a secretive department operating until the 1990s. This wasn't just a local oddity anymore. Something or someone had drawn the eyes of both believers and the British government. If multiple people in one region saw the same thing, could they all be mistaken? Or was Zigmund Adamski just the first public casualty of something watching from above? By late 1980, the press began to weave the strange threads of Adamski's case into a story more at home in science fiction than in Yorkshire coal country. The wounds, the missing time, the mysterious gel, a clean body placed impossibly atop a coal heap, PC Godfrey's encounter, and the surge in UFO reports. These weren't just anomalies anymore. They were, according to some researchers, evidence of alien intervention. British ufologists, including Jenny Randalls, published investigations connecting Adamski's death to extraterrestrial abduction theory. She proposed that Adamski had been taken by non-human intelligences, examined, treated, and returned, only for his heart to give out due to trauma or exposure to unknown forces. The theory was scoffed at by traditional law enforcement, but others pointed out, if not aliens, then what else explained the forensic impossibilities? The burns weren't thermal or electrical. The ointment was unknown to any lab. The body was clean despite 5 days missing. There was no trauma consistent with a fall or a struggle. His expression? One of pure frozen terror. And then there was the question no skeptic could answer. Who took care of him for those 5 days? Can you think of any rational human explanation that would account for everything? Wounds, gel, clean body, no tracks, and 5 days of total silence? Share your opinions in the comment below and click on like, share, and notifications bell. Not everyone was ready to reach for the stars. Many believed Adamski's death, though bizarre, had earthbound answers. Some local investigators proposed a more sinister possibility: kidnapping and torture. One theory suggested Adamski had been mistaken for someone else, perhaps abducted by criminals or rogue groups and subjected to interrogation or experimentation, only to be released in panic when he died. Others suspected secret medical testing. Could he have been exposed to chemicals or treatments, part of a classified trial gone wrong? And then there were whispers about ritual activity. The strange placement of the body, the methodical dressing, the burned symbols, it all felt intentional. But none of these theories could explain the gel, the forensic cleanliness, the untouched coal pile, the smileless terror etched on his face. Human theories explain motive, but not method. If this was a human crime, why leave behind a body that screamed questions and risk exposure? As Alan Godfrey began speaking publicly about his UFO encounter and its possible connection to the Adamski case, official pressure intensified. His superiors urged him to stay quiet. His mental health was questioned. He was removed from investigative duties and subjected to internal reviews. Though never formally dismissed, Godfrey left the force soon after, emotionally exhausted, professionally abandoned. Godfrey later revealed in interviews that he believed Zigmund Adamski's death and his own encounter were part of the same pattern, a brush with something far beyond human comprehension. Though some mocked him, others saw him as a whistleblower, someone who'd gotten too close to a truth people weren't ready to hear. Why would a decorated officer risk his entire career on a lie? And what did he gain from sharing a story that turned him into a pariah? Decades have passed since Zigmund Adamski's body was found, and the trail has long gone cold. Yet, his name continues to echo through conspiracy forums, books, and documentaries. For every skeptic who scoffs, there are truth seekers who still stare into the sky at night, wondering. Lottie Adamski, who passed away not long after her husband's mysterious death, never received closure. She was denied the chance to bury her husband with understanding, with peace. The questions that plagued the town of Tingley in 1980 still haunt many who remember the story. There have been no arrests, no breakthroughs, the gel was never identified. The coal yard gave no secrets, and the files, many of them, have since been sealed, lost, or redacted. Every few years, someone revisits the case, a new podcast, a reprint in a local paper, a new theory. But the conclusion remains the same. The cause of Zigmund Adamski's death is unexplained. Some believe we simply haven't advanced enough yet to understand what happened. Others say we understood all too well and decided to bury the truth. How long can a mystery like this linger before it becomes legend? And if the answers were buried, who benefits from our forgetting? As science continues to advance, through DNA retesting, biometric reconstruction, and forensic AI modeling, some believe the Zigmund Adamski case may still one day be solved. Others think the case was never meant to be solved. Was Zigmund abducted by aliens, experimented on, and returned just moments too late? Or was he caught in a human web, black ops, cults, secret science, where even the authorities were pawns or perpetrators? Even Alan Godfrey, now retired, still gets asked about that day in November, the morning his life changed forever. He still says the same thing. Whatever happened to Zigmund wasn't from this world. And maybe he's right, or maybe the truth is simpler, more horrifying, not alien, but human. A kind of cold, methodical cruelty wrapped in just enough mystery to keep us guessing for decades. Was this a visit from beyond the stars, or a carefully staged message meant to look that way? What really happened to Zigmund Adamski, and why did it have to end with a heart frozen in terror? If this case fascinated you, don't let it disappear again. Like this video. Comment your theory below. Subscribe for more cold cases that demand new light. Hit the notification bell to be the first to know when truth resurfaces from the shadows. Zigmund Adamski's story remains unsolved, unexplained, and unsettling. Whether it was a botched cover-up, a scientific experiment gone rogue, or something no earthly logic can define, one fact remains. He never made it home, and someone somewhere knows why. If you believe these stories deserve a voice, don't scroll past. Like this video to support independent investigation. Comment your theory. Was it murder, misdirection, or something not of this world? And subscribe to True Crime Acts, because every cold case deserves its reckoning. Hit the notification bell and let the silence be broken, one story at a time.